Imagine this, a young man calls for help on a quiet, moonlit night. He's lost, stranded on a lonely road. You speak to him, comfort him, tell him to keep walking, and then, without warning, he's gone. Forever. This is the baffling case of Brandon Swanson, a disappearance that's haunted investigators and his family for over a decade. And to this day, no one truly knows what happened. Brandon Victor Swanson was just 19 years old when he disappeared on the night of May 13, 2008. A freshman at Minnesota West Community and Technical College, Brandon had just finished his final day of classes. He had plans for the summer, dreams for the future, and like any 19-year-old, he wanted to celebrate a little. That evening, Brandon attended a small gathering with friends in the nearby town of Canby, Minnesota. He wasn't known as a heavy drinker or a partier, and those who saw him that night said he seemed perfectly fine when he left. After leaving the party, Brandon headed back to his hometown of Marshall, about a 30-mile drive. But somewhere along the way, something went tragically wrong. At 1:54 a.m., his car veered off the road into a ditch. No one knows exactly why. There was no sign of a collision or foul play, just a young man, stuck on the side of the road. And this is where the mystery truly begins. Stranded and unable to move his car, Brandon did what many of us would in a moment like this: he called his parents. Annette and Brian Swanson were awoken by the sound of their son's voice just after 2 a.m. Brandon was calm, frustrated, yes, but calm. He explained that he'd driven off the road and needed a ride. When Annette and Brian asked where he was, Brandon confidently replied, "I'm near Lind." Lind was a small town not far from Marshall. But what would happen next left everyone scratching their heads. Brian and Annette jumped in their car and immediately headed toward Lind. Meanwhile, they stayed on the phone with Brandon, trying to find him. Brandon assured them he could see the lights of the town nearby, yet no matter how hard his parents searched, they didn't see any sign of him. Around 2:30 a.m., frustration grew on both ends. Brandon, believing his parents were in the wrong spot, decided to start walking toward the lights he could see in the distance. He told them to meet him in a nearby parking lot, certain he'd find his way there. But the call never went silent. For over 40 minutes, Brandon's parents stayed on the line with him as he walked. He described his surroundings: gravel roads, open fields, and, occasionally, the faint glow of lights. But then, at 3:10 a.m., the unthinkable happened. Brandon suddenly shouted, and then silence. Just like that, the call dropped. Panicked, Annette and Brian tried calling him back, but he didn't answer. They searched for him in the area, calling out his name, but Brandon was gone. The Swansons reported Brandon missing early the next morning. Police began searching almost immediately, but there were complications from the start. Brandon had been wrong about his location. He wasn't near Lind at all. In fact, his car was later found abandoned in a ditch 20 miles away, near the town of Taunton. This critical error led to hours of lost search time and brought a chilling realization: Brandon could have been anywhere. A massive search was launched, involving local law enforcement, state authorities, and hundreds of volunteers. Tracking dogs were brought in and followed Brandon's scent for several miles. His trail led down gravel roads, through fields, and finally stopped near the Yellow Medicine River. But here's the strange part: there was no sign of Brandon. Many worried he'd fallen into the river, but extensive searches of the water yielded no evidence. No clothes, no body, nothing. This is where the theories begin. Did Brandon accidentally drown in the river? Did he succumb to hypothermia while wandering through the fields that cold May morning? Or was something far more sinister at play? Some speculate he may have encountered another person, someone who didn't have his best interests in mind. But if that's the case, why was there no evidence? No witnesses? No clues. Brandon Swanson's disappearance remains one of Minnesota's most haunting unsolved cases. Over the years, his family has refused to give up hope. They've pushed for answers, worked tirelessly with authorities, and even helped pass Minnesota's Brandon's Law, a mandate requiring law enforcement to act more swiftly in cases of missing adults. But despite all efforts, one question remains: what happened to Brandon? More than 15 years have passed since Brandon Swanson disappeared, yet his story continues to raise more questions than answers. Was it an accident? A tragic misstep? Or is someone out there who knows more than they're letting on? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more true crime mysteries.